Long before clocks ticked on walls or watches rested on wrists, humans still knew when to wake, when to hunt, when to gather, when to migrate, and when to prepare for winter. Time existed long before anyone measured it. The question wasn't whether ancient humans understood time. It was how they learned to read it. Imagine living in a world without calendars, alarms, or even numbers. There are no deadlines, no schedules, and no digital reminders. Yet your survival depends on knowing exactly when fish return to the rivers, when berries ripen, when dangerous storms arrive, and when the animals you hunt begin their seasonal migrations. Getting the timing wrong doesn't make you late, it can leave you hungry. For early humans, nature itself became the first clock ever created. Instead of watching hands move across a dial, they watched the world around them. Every sunrise announced a new beginning. Every sunset signaled that it was time to find shelter. The changing position of the sun overhead marked the passing hours, while the length of shadows quietly revealed whether the day was still young or nearing its end. Without realizing it, ancient humans were reading one of the most reliable clocks ever built, the sky. Anyone who spends enough time outdoors begins noticing patterns. The sun never rises randomly. It follows a predictable path across the heavens every single day. Over months and years, people realized that its path changed with the seasons. During summer, the sun climbed higher and stayed visible longer. In winter, it remained lower, and daylight disappeared much sooner. Those changes became valuable information. Long before astronomy became a science, careful observation transformed the sky into a survival guide. The moon offered another way to measure time. Unlike the sun, which changed gradually from season to season, the moon transformed every few nights. It grew from a thin crescent into a brilliant full moon before fading once again into darkness. This repeating cycle was impossible to ignore. Eventually, people recognized that one complete cycle always lasted about the same length of time. The moon became humanity's first natural calendar. Many of today's words for month still trace their origins back to the moon because that connection proved so useful for thousands of years. Night skies revealed even more. As Earth moved through its yearly journey, different constellations appeared at different times. Certain groups of stars returned every year in nearly the same season. Ancient people learned to associate these celestial patterns with events on the ground. When particular stars appeared before sunrise, certain animals soon migrated. When another constellation dominated the evening sky, colder weather wasn't far behind. The heavens became a map of the seasons. Evidence suggests that this knowledge stretches back remarkably far. Some prehistoric monuments appear deliberately aligned with important solar events, such as the summer and winter solstices. Others point toward the rising sun during the equinoxes, when day and night become nearly equal. These weren't random arrangements of stone. They reflected generations of careful observation. But humans didn't rely only on the sky. The earth itself kept time. Plants followed dependable rhythms. Flowers bloomed in familiar seasons. Trees produced fruit at nearly the same time each year. Leaves changed color before colder months arrived. Watching vegetation allowed people to anticipate future changes rather than simply react to them. Animals served as living calendars too. Birds arrived and departed during migration. Deer entered mating seasons. Fish swam upstream at predictable times. Insects emerged after warming temperatures. Frogs began calling when rainfall increased. Every species followed its own schedule. Ancient humans simply learned to recognize them. One of the greatest teachers was repetition. Children who watched the same valley year after year eventually noticed that nature rarely surprised those who paid attention. Rivers flooded during familiar seasons. Snow melted at roughly the same time. Winds shifted direction as temperatures changed. Patterns became expectations. Expectations became knowledge. Knowledge became survival. The changing weather also helped divide the year into meaningful periods. Instead of naming months, many ancient communities likely thought in terms of events. The season when salmon returned, the time when berries ripened, the weeks when herds migrated, the cold season, the flowering season. Time wasn't counted by numbers, it was remembered through experience. This way of thinking still survives in many traditional societies today, where seasons are often named after natural events rather than fixed dates on a calendar. Ancient humans also measured shorter periods using their own bodies. Hunger signaled that many hours had passed since eating. Fatigue suggested it was nearly time to rest. Circadian rhythms, the body's natural internal clock, evolved long before artificial lighting disrupted them. People didn't need alarms. Their biology often woke them with the sunrise. For groups traveling across open landscapes, shadows became incredibly useful. A long morning shadow pointed west. By midday, shadows shrank dramatically. As afternoon progressed, they stretched eastward. Even without formal mathematics, people learned to estimate the passage of time simply by glancing at the ground. Fire may have provided another rough measure. A certain amount of wood burned for a fairly predictable length of time. While sitting around evening campfires, People could judge how much of the night had passed by, watching flames die down and adding more fuel. It wasn't precise. It didn't need to be. Precision mattered far less than consistency. Some archaeologists believe notched bones discovered across Africa and Europe may represent early attempts to keep track of repeating cycles. The famous Ishango bone, dating back around 20,000 years, contains carefully carved markings whose exact purpose remains debated. Some researchers believe they tracked lunar cycles. Others suggest counting or record keeping. Whatever their true function, they reveal an important idea. Humans were beginning to preserve information about time outside their own memories. That marked a profound shift. Communities eventually developed rituals tied to specific seasons, gatherings during harvests, ceremonies marking the return of migrating animals, celebrations during the longest or shortest days of the year. These events strengthened social bonds while helping entire groups remember important moments in nature's calendar. Time became shared knowledge. As agriculture emerged roughly 12,000 years ago, measuring time became even more important. Plant too early, and frost could destroy crops. Plant too late, and harvests might fail before winter arrived. Farmers needed greater accuracy than hunter-gatherers had previously required. This pressure encouraged more careful observation of the sun, moon, and stars, eventually leading to the first true calendars. Yet even those calendars grew from much older traditions, centuries of watching, generations of remembering, thousands of sunrises. Perhaps the most fascinating part is that ancient humans rarely thought of time the way we do today. Modern life divides days into hours, minutes, and seconds. Prehistoric people experienced time through change. The river rose, the birds returned, the moon became full, the nights grew colder. Those events mattered far more than exact numbers ever could. In many ways, their understanding was deeply connected to the living world rather than abstract measurements. Even today, many people instinctively notice these same signals despite relying on clocks every day. We recognize the first warmth of spring, the earlier sunsets of autumn, or the longer daylight of summer without checking a calendar. Those instincts are ancient. They've accompanied our species for hundreds of thousands of years. The invention of clocks made life more organized. It didn't teach humanity what time was. Long before gears turned inside towers or digital screens counted every passing second, ancient humans had already mastered a different kind of timekeeping. They looked upward instead of downward. They trusted the sky instead of machinery. They measured life through seasons instead of seconds, and for countless generations that was more than enough to guide them through a changing world. Their relationship with time also encouraged patience. Ancient humans couldn't rush the arrival of spring, force fruit to ripen, or make migrating herds appear sooner. Survival depended on adapting to nature's rhythm rather than controlling it. That mindset shaped generations, reminding people that some of life's most important events unfold only when the right season finally arrives.